Gaomon was so kind enough to send me their s620 pen and tablet to review for my channel, and this isn't something I typically do, but I was given the offer and it was something that I couldn't pass up. I'm not the most licensed person for this since I'm bad at explaining things, bad at talking overall, and my art is mediocre, but I'll try my best. And I'm very self-conscious of my voice, so this is really hard for me to do. About 2 weeks ago, I was contacted by a Gaomon employee and a week later received the pen and tablet to review. But something I did want to mention was how they just slapped a label right on the box and shipped it. This is the most secure way to send things, as you can see the corners are a little beat up. And although this isn't a display monitor, it can still potentially be damaged or even stolen from its packaging. And ignore the little pieces of fur stuck right there. I was shaving down some faux fur on the box because I just had it sitting right there. I was working on a fursuit head before this, and it's actually going to be Scourge. I made a black cat gang leader pre-made. Please don't sue me, Warrior Cat's legal team. But if you want to see some updates on that, you can follow me on Instagram over at honeyjaws. So inside the box there was a warranty card and a little thank you note. The tablet was tucked cozily into a sleeve, and it's a great size. It's just a little bigger than my hand, even if my hand is a little small. There's 4 buttons on the top right that you can customize to your liking. Although I don't really use these that much, it's just a personal preference. But for the sake of this video, I've decided to use them, and I programmed them to be space to move my canvas, transform, copy, and paste, since those are the short keys I use the most when drawing. It also came with extra pen nibs and a 2-finger glove that fit my baby hands pretty closely. Then there was the tablet booklet and the pen. And the pen is actually really nice. It has a rubber grip on it, which isn't something that I see tablet brands do. The cable and adapter was stowed on this piece of felt, which I guess was to hold the cable down, but it was still a little odd. And speaking of the adapters, this tablet is actually compatible with Android phones, so if you don't have a PC or you just like drawing on your phone, it's great for that. And I don't have an Android, so I can't test it, but I'm sure there's reviews out there that make up for the lack of that in this video. And something I feel like I have to mention, if you're getting this tablet, or any tablet for that matter, and you already have a drawing tablet, you're going to have to uninstall whatever driver is already on your PC. Tablet drivers don't function together and they clash a lot with each other, causing so many issues. All you have to do though is go into your programs, search for the tablet driver and uninstall. Then you're ready to implement your new tablet's driver onto your PC. If you want to use your other tablet, then you'll have to repeat the process. It's a little irritating, but it'll save you the frustration later when you're figuring out why your tablet is not working. While I get into my review, I'll throw on a speed paint I did with this tablet of Alderheart, which is my favorite warrior cat ever. I love him to pieces. He's such a sweet baby boy. I worked with this tablet on and off for about 2 weeks, and I haven't used a pen and tablet for a couple years, so it took a bit to get used to it again. But I didn't really mind sketching for a bit and working on a PMV to adapt to it again. But let's get on with the review. It has great pressure sensitivity, which I didn't expect to work so well even after adjusting the settings. I was able to sketch and line smoothly with this, and I'm very picky about my line art tools and pen pressure, so that should say something about how great this worked out. And the size of the tablet, like I mentioned earlier, is really reasonable. It's not too big, it's not too small. My hand fit perfectly on there. I didn't find my hand falling off on the sides, or I didn't feel myself having to reach so far with my wrist. Then the pen itself, the grip on the pen is fantastic. Currently I'm using a Huon display monitor, and before that I was using a Wacom Intuos, but they both have a tendency to dig into my skin, especially the Wacom. The Wacom tablet was very slim and it was all plastic, so it had a tendency to dig into my skin. There's even a little dent in my finger, which I'm sure has come from traditional drawing, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Wacom contributed to that as well. It's just something that I wish more companies would put on the pens, considering we will draw for hours on end. But personally, I think the most impressive thing is the price. It's only $40, which is a great price for anyone on a budget or just looking to start digital drawing. It's perfectly fine to start small and work your way up. You don't need all the fancy tools. You can get a display monitor a little later. My first tablet was a Wacom Bamboo Splash, which is discontinued now, so that should say something about how old it is. And I want to say maybe 3-ish years ago I got a display monitor for the first time. So it was about a 5-year gap between my first pen and tablet and my display tablet. Compare that to a Wacom Intuos, I hope I'm saying that right, which is typically $80. You're only paying half the price for something that's almost as great quality. Of course it has its faults, but it's nearly at the same level. And it's compatible on a variety of programs. I tried it in Photoshop, Paint Tool Side, Clip Studio Paint, and even Adobe Flash, also known as Animate, and I had no issues whatsoever. But just like any product, this tablet also has its cons. My biggest issue was using paint brushes, the type of brushes that meld into colors without having to use a watercolor or blend tool. It was difficult to start with a soft pressure and ease into a harder one. It would either be a very faint line and hard to work up to a harder pressure, or it would be a really bold line. It would be harder to ease down. I'm the kind of person who hates using a blend tool to paint. I have to have a brush that whisks everything on its own. So if you do a lot more painterly stuff, maybe it's best to stay away from this tablet. The pen does have great sensitivity despite that, although I also found it not registering clicks often. I was editing a PMV in Sony Vegas with this, and it wouldn't click or grab onto stuff every so often, so I eventually just had to stop using the tablet and use my mouse. Or sometimes when I would draw and make a new layer and go to select it, the pen actually didn't click on it, and I was drawing on the previous layer, which sucked. But I'm sure many artists can relate to that issue despite not having this tablet. Aside from digital issues though, it would start to squeak from time to time, and that wasn't an issue for me, but I know some people are sensitive to sounds, so yeah, there's that. And the buttons on the sides might be easier for others, but having it to the left side is more convenient for right-handed people, not left-handed. If you're going to place buttons near the top of the surface, then I feel like it should be centered. But overall, this is a fantastic tablet for beginners and people on a budget. I seriously couldn't recommend it enough. If you're watching this when it releases and looking for a tablet, why else would you be here anyway? There isn't a thing here to see except the review and my childish voice. Then I'm glad to announce that Gaomon is having a sale of 28% off the s620. So instead of $40, you can get it for $28. If you're not interested in this tablet, they have others on sale as well, so you're free to check out the links below to see their other products. Huge thanks to Gaomon for allowing me to test and review this wonderful tablet. They were very patient and kind to me, especially considering this is my first time doing anything like this, so I appreciate them very much. But that's about it. I hope this was some kind of assistance. There really isn't much else for me to say. Goodbye.